Wwise, Unity, Boston. Today we'll look at all three. Got a little Wwise Unity integration here that I wanted to show you. We'll take a look at the guts, but it has 8 states, 31 music tracks, 6 playlists, 3 transition segments, 3 stingers, 3 emitters, 2 interchangeable ambiances, 23 events, and 2 parameters. So I want to play it a little bit for you, just to show you what it looks like, and then we'll get into the guts later on. Cool? Let's dive a little deeper, shall we? So, We've got a typical bus structure here, master bus with the ambience bus, music bus, sound effects bus, and a stinger bus, just for fun. We've got 3 layers under the music bus for a couple of tracks that have layering. Down a little further in the actor mixer hierarchy here, we have the ambiences, one for the inside of the lab and one for the outside. We have some emitters, that little campfire that was out there. That's just a little spatialized campfire loop. Each of the door opens, so when you're in the lab and you do the mission accept, you walk up to the mission board. It opens up that door, but it also posts an event to that area where that door is, so you actually hear the door open from where that's happening. Same thing with the gate. And when you're in the large outside area, that gate that's in front of the tower, when you pull that lever, you'll hear the gate open behind you. So that's fun too. For stingers, that strange object, when you first exit the lab and you walk up to it, that just plays a little discovery stinger. When we walked up to the machine to save our game, that played the save stinger. Also, when you walk up to the mission board, there was a little kind of a bleep, like that. That plays right when you walk up to the board, and there's like a quarter-second delay before that door open sound plays, just so they don't get in each other's way. Let's keep moving on to music. So, like I said before, we have 8 states and 31 music tracks. Now, the 31 music tracks includes 2 with a few randomized playlists here. These are all like saxophone and cello phrases that just get played in the background, because when you're outside and you're kind of in that exploration mode inside this playlist here, it starts out with just a little introductory piece, but as things go on, you can see it transitions to another sequence continuous right here. It only plays 10 times, just so it doesn't get too tiring on the listener. So it's going to play through each of these, and through each of these what that little appendix there, appendix? Whatever the word is. A and B, you're going to have these little melodies coming in and out for each. So they're separated into 2 because the actual chord progression with that strange sounding guitar, that's a guitar. That. Each one is going to play these little melodies at random, as the track plays out. So if you want to listen to one. So that was the sax. So let's just going to play through and make it interesting. It's going to be different every time because it's randomized, so that makes life a little bit more fun. When I skipped ahead a little bit, but when you're in the lab, you also have a playlist playing here. So as you can hear, there's actually that little drum pad on the bottom there. Before you walk up to the mission board, you're only getting that little synth, the little sparkly synth. When you actually walk up to the mission board and accept the mission, this parameter right here goes to 100, and then you get that extra layer of tracks. You get the rhythmic track, and you get the piano in there just to give it a little bit more excitement and kind of urge you to look around a little bit more and get outside, since you heard the door open, and just push you on. So that's lab. So then we talked about outside. Now, when we find that green lever outside and pull it, we start the end approach. And if you notice, you got the drums in there first. If you look at this segment here, there's actually an event called when this is starting. Reason being, these had to be split up in 2, because if you look at the length of approach A, it's a good 17, 18 bars. But if you look at approach B, it's only 6 bars here. Is that 6? Yeah. It's a 4-bar loop, essentially. So as far as I know, Wwise doesn't have the capability to do asynchronous looping, kind of like Fmod does. So this was just kind of a workaround to make that happen. So it's two playlists playing at the same time, and they're able to be called at will for whatever layer I want to bring in, because each of these is also tied to a state. So here's the approach layer. So when you're actually walking towards the tower, you're hitting trigger volumes that are calling these states to bring in the different layers. And then when you finally get up to the gates of the tower area, you are going to hit this little transition here, and that stops the second playlist. Otherwise it would keep going while this is happening, because the actual transition happens from like, if we look at the switcher here, the actual transition is happening from approach A to discovery A. So there's only one playlist transitioning to a different playlist. If we had both playing and then we transitioned just one, we'd have chaos, which is sometimes fun, but we don't want it this time. So in order to make it nice and clean, we got to stop the one when this comes in. So we get the little and that transitions into the second to last state, which is end discovery A. Now this is just a simple 4-segment loop. It's just going to play until you get up into the tower and you pick up that spinning object in there. And when you do that, you start this here. Now this is a little bit special. If we take a look at the event, when you pick up that gift, I call it the gift. It's fun. It's Christmas time, whatever. When you pick it up, you are actually setting a game parameter for the pitch of the music track, the previous music track. You're bringing it down over the course of 4 seconds till it's almost inaudible. And you're also turning down the sound effects bus and the ambience bus. This is almost like a stop call for the game. It's the last thing that happens right before that cutscene, animation, splash screen, whatever. It's the last thing that happens, so you're basically stopping everything to bring in that last state. And this ending state, this is just discovery B. When that plays, that's the last thing that you hear and see. So this had to be set to, on the state change, on the switcher, it had to be immediate, because it was previously set to next grid, so it was more of a natural musical transition. But because this pitch parameter here, it's actually changing. It's changing not necessarily just the pitch, but the playback speed. So it sounds like it's changing the pitch, but it's actually the playback speed. And because of that, what was like a 100 BPM movement, it became like a 2 BPM movement. And when I triggered it the first time and I was listening to it, I was like, where is this transition? It's not coming in. It's all because it was just moving at a much slower pace, and you wouldn't, and the transition never really happened. So the fix was to make it an immediate transition here. So this event gets called, it waits 6 seconds, and then immediately transitions to discovery, and that's timed with the animation of that fade to black and that last splash screen that pops up. So it's as soon as you pick up that box, animation starts, this countdown begins, and then at that 6 second mark, that's when that picture comes in. So that was a fun little thing. So we looked at Wwise. Now let's take a look at Unity to see how everything works out. So start off in here, got the little splash screen. You've got mission board here, opens that door, come out here. You've got your lever here, and that opens this. So let's take a look at all those Wwise objects here. They're really just little trigger volumes. If you look at, let's say, the gate open trigger. So when we walk up to this, we'll take a look. It's just a box. There's a script I wrote for it that it does a few things. So it posts the event to the gate audio object, and the gate audio object is just around the corner here. That's where the sound effect actually plays from. Right door, left door, that closes the doors of the lab so you can't get back in there. Tower trigger and exploration trigger. So those are going to be volumes along this path here. So before you pull that lever there, you can't trigger the next state. That object is actually not active. So if you were to walk this whole length up to that gate, you wouldn't be able to actually trigger anything because it hasn't appeared yet. That goes the same with the two states here, the two layers here. So this is just bringing in those that percussion loop and also the secondary percussion loop anyways. So without pulling that trigger, you're not going to get any of that, and that's the way we want it, because when we're out here exploring and we're looking for that trigger, we just want that loop to play out. Along with when you pull that green lever to trigger the next state, it also removes this gate here. So prior to moving that, you wouldn't actually be able to get through to the next area. So the last thing I want to look at is just that little cube that we pick up at the end, the gift, or as I called it here, the Tesseract, Marvel. All it does is it calls that pickup gift event from Wwise, which we looked at before with the pitch change, the sound effects, and the ambience buses being brought to 0, and then calling that last state 6 seconds in with that delay. And then it also triggers this little script here to start the animator for that fade to black, and then it brings up the splash screen. And that's basically it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that, or learned something, or just killed a few minutes of your day. I'm happy with any one of those. Thanks for watching.